In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Andrea Cardenas, and she's heading over from the folks over at Anessa. And what's quite interesting, the website shows very interesting value proposition: save the planet at a profit. So it's a biogas software, and today we want to really deep dive into how our Anessa helping biogas grow sustainable and by leveraging predictive analytics. So today we want to really deep dive into that very interesting field. So Andrea, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lucas. And I'm happy to be here today to chat a little bit more about waste to energy and how software brings value to it.
Of course. Very good. So maybe help people out a little bit. For folks that haven't heard about Anessa prior, like what is Anessa all about in your own words?
Definitely. So I think the story of who Anessa is also very related to what biogas is as a technology. And biogas is the process of using organic waste, and that can be any organic waste from food waste to manufacturing to farming waste as well. And through a fermentation process without oxygen called anaerobic digestion, that waste can be converted into energy, electricity, and renewable natural gas. What Anessa does is we have specialized software products for the biogas industry. Our founders were actually tasked with evaluating a feasibility study within our local community. And through their investigation process, they were looking for a software that could help them do that assessment. And through that research, they weren't really able to find a complete, full solution for that assessment. So they decided to build one. And that's how Anessa was born. Nowadays, we have two products, one being on the assessment side, which was kind of the genesis of Anessa, and the other one being on the optimization, feedstock optimization, and recipe generation side, which I can dive a little bit deeper into that one as well.
Very good. That gives a good insight. So maybe tell us a little bit who are sort of the individuals, organizations that benefit the most from Anessa. Maybe give us just a high-level overview on that first.
Definitely. So there are different stakeholders across the project development and project operation lifecycle that can benefit from our software. The main ones being the ones who are evaluating the project, so project developers or farmers who own their feedstock and are interested in having a biogas project and assessing, hey, is this idea viable? We can help those people through predictive analytics and simulations of what that project could look like and what could be those risk areas that you should keep in mind through that development. Aside from that, we can also help investors conduct due diligence since we have interconnected modeling of both financial and technical calculations. Mm-hmm. So we're able to really give that full scope of due diligence for investors. And in the operational side, we can help operators with feedstock recipes to give insight into what feedstock mix should I be using to either produce the most gas I can or get the most profit I can.
Gotcha. Makes a whole lot of sense. Super interesting field. Now, who would be typically the champions who would be bringing on the software into their respective teams? Like, what type of a role is finding out about Anessa and says, we need something like that?
Funnily enough, it's normally the end users. We have kind of two scenarios. Let me rephrase that one. Mm-hmm. We have the scenario where the end user discovers our solution. They're really interested in how it can make their day-to-day a lot easier and enable them to do a lot more. And you also have the decision makers that are seeing their team struggle with current processes and are interested in a software solution that could bring more efficiency to their team's workflow as a whole.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Now, how would they learn about Anessa then at the first place? First the users, but also the decision makers. Like, what's their journey looking like? If we look a little bit into their footsteps before they're actually getting and while they're getting to know Anessa.
That's a great question. I would say most of the people that learn about us through either trade shows or associations. So associations are a big part of our marketing strategy. We are members of the Canadian Biogas Association, the World Biogas Association, as well as associations in different target markets. Mm-hmm. Feel free to cut how many times I say associations in that sentence because it was a lot. But we do get to play a lot within our niche to get very well known within those associations so that we can know that we are reaching the right kind of people. If someone is involved in the World Biogas Association, it is due to their interest in biogas, and we definitely want to get to know those people as well. With events and trade shows, there's also the possibility of meeting people in person, but during the pandemic, that wasn't really an option. So the industry started having a lot of like virtual events where people could meet virtually. But I think it is the time where the biogas industry really stepped up a lot of its virtual marketing and what that looked like. So even us at Anessa, we started publishing more content. We started developing videos so that we could make sure that that personal touch point of our normal customer journey that would happen during these events or client visits was still happening in a virtual sense. And now that we're in these times where things are going a little bit more normal, I would say our strategy is a bit of a blend of both, where we're trying to meet people and see people in person, but we're also trying to keep our virtual customer journey as personable as possible in a way.
Gotcha. Very good. Now, how do you think about the website then? Like, what role does the website take on in that journey, and maybe even moving forward? How do you see the website, contributing to sort of the growth of Anessa?
My team can attest to this quite a lot because I like to call our website our ecosystem, because I feel like it's the place where people can really learn about us, learn not only what our products are, but the kind of people that are behind Anessa as a whole. I think our website is going to start having a lot more of a prominent role within our marketing and sales strategy. We are trying to bring more people into our website and keeping it an interesting ecosystem that inspires people to stick around it a little bit more and see interesting content within it. So I would say we are definitely stepping up our content strategy, but we see our website as kind of like our central nervous system in terms of where clients are learning about us, and we all want to funnel them into that website.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Now, is there something that you've learned, and it doesn't have to be with Anessa, right? Like just over the years as a marketer and researcher, like what have you found, like, for example, when it comes to driving results from the website, is there any approaches, copywriting tools, maybe methods that you personally feel are helpful, to drive, I don't know, demos or results or whatever it might be from the page?
I love talking to other teams within Anessa, and I think the biggest lesson I've learned was from the development team, actually, within their agile development of look at things quickly, see how you can fix things quickly, and do a lot of small releases very fast. Yeah. And I think that really reflects itself within our strategy. The biggest thing we do is we check our analytics a lot. So while campaigns are happening, we check our analytics. If something is working, if something is not working, we know what we can tweak, and then we review the analytics again to see if that tweak worked or what else we can do. So I would say we have a very agile marketing strategy where we're very data driven, and we make a lot of decisions based on that data to constantly hone our strategy.
Very cool. Now let's switch gears a little bit, right? We talked about what you guys are doing. We talked about how people discover you guys, but the website a bit. I would love to talk about your journey as a marketer a little bit more, right? So first and foremost, there is so much content out there for marketers, blogs, books, podcasts, you name it, right? Where do you personally find high quality information for yourself in all that noise?
I think talking to people. I'm a very sociable person, and I think marketers love to chat, and I love chatting with marketers because we all have really great ideas to share. I've also found a couple newsletters that I find really useful throughout like my time as a marketer. Funnily enough, my degree is not in marketing. I have an honors in finance, but throughout my entire studies, I was working as a marketer part-time. So I was gaining a lot of knowledge throughout my studies as well in the marketing side. And during that time, I found newsletters, like, for example, the No Good newsletter, I find very useful and very personable, as well as different like LinkedIn posts that pop up within my network, keeping my network very much alive and looking at how I can invest more in those relationships and keep them going, because life is very much a learning journey. And my mom used to say always, meet people, take what adds, leave what subtracts, and constantly see how you can better yourself in that way. And that's why I think you can learn from everything. You can learn what not to do, you can learn what to do, and it's just finding the kind of way that you learn and what resonates with you.
Yeah, very cool. I got some rapid fire questions to wrap it up for today as we're slowly approaching the end of the interview. You ready for those?
Yes.
Very good. What is the last book you read or the last podcast you listened to?
The last book I read is Pachinko by Minsun Lee, I think is her name. It's a very interesting book, but in terms of business, the most recent book I read was Radical Candor, actually, which was recommended to me by my boyfriend's mom.
Mhm.
And it completely 180'd the way that I was like managing my team, the way that I felt comfortable like communicating with my team. And it opened a lot of vision for myself into I should be more open about this. I should be kinder in this way. And it gave me a lot of the information of how are you a good manager? That is a lot of questions that you ask yourself when you're starting out in managing people.
Is there one or two maybe learnings you could share? Because we've got a lot of marketers listening on the show who maybe just like yourself, they start taking on teams, they start, building out their marketing functions. Is there anything that you feel, or do you just recommend just the book in itself? Like, what would you tell marketers to do to just, who take on that team as well?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend to build a culture of idea sharing within your team. So building a culture of like sharing ideas and sharing how you will act on those ideas or how you would change them so that you can act on them. So always tying the ideas that your team is sharing with you to an action that you can do and to bringing them forward as well. I think that opens up a really nice space where your team feels like they want to share their ideas with you and they keep thinking about them. And I always tell them I'm not a manager who wants to be right. I want to be a manager who wants to get it right. So to have everyone put input into it.
Very good. Very cool. Next question, right? If today you would get the chance, if there's anything that you could change, right, as a marketer. So let's say technology wouldn't be a boundary anymore. You got a magic wand. What's the one thing that you would change for your role as a marketer?
I would say I would have spent give me a second to think on that one.
Sure, no worries. It's basically you got a magic wand, like maybe something that you always as a marketer felt like that's a little bit, stopping, or just, what maybe other marketers told you that they really need.
I think the biggest moment sort of aha moment I had with another marketer was I was meeting with another marketer who had a lot more experience than I did. And I normally kept all my plans kind of like they talk about them in school of write a report, follow your report and go through that. And I remember seeing that she had built this like beautiful agenda with like a calendar view, all of these little tasks. And I was like, I can organize things differently. So I think opening myself to like different organization styles and different ways that I can put visibility into ideas and actions for my team would have saved me a lot of grief at the start of my career in marketing.
Very cool. I mean, I love this because this is like, a very hands-on thing. It's a very hands-on thing that would help people quite a bit. Very good. For the last question, right? I'd like to do a little bit of time travel. And if you allow, we go back to the days of University of Brunswick, right? So you're heading out of formal education into the world of business and growth. What's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey?
Being yourself is your biggest asset, is what I would say. So not trying to change myself and who I am and like what my personality brings to the table to what I think my position should be or what I think a marketer should be like. Just seeing how I can apply myself and who I am to being a marketer, I think would have helped me really like develop myself a lot quicker than I did and break out of my shell.
Very cool. And I really appreciate you joining us today for the Pathway Presents podcast. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Anessa, what's the one single thing that people should remember?
If you were to forget everything and remember one thing, I would say if you have a lot of waste and you're interested into how that waste could become energy, or if you have waste to energy ideas that you would like to explore a little bit, consider how software could bring efficiency to that process and how it could help you visualize what that would look like in the future.
Andrea, thanks a lot for joining Pathway Presents today.
Thank you, Lucas.